Ever wondered if that old spinning hard drive is slowing down your internet? Yeah, it sounds a little bit ridiculous, right? And if you're in Australia, you probably haven't even considered it until now, because I just asked it. And you have to wonder because the question is so dumb. Your hard drive slowing down your internet? What is this, 1996? So with Aussie RSPs rolling out 2 gigabit fiber plans, this weird little question actually starts to make some sense, especially for those from 1996. So can your hard drive really be the bottleneck to your ultra fast downloads? Let's dive in. If you're still with me after that intro, one of these three things might be true. Either I've done a terrible job of explaining this and you don't know what's going on and it's going to take a few more minutes to explain, or you already know where I'm getting at and you just want to see if you're right. Or you've walked off leaving the computer automatically going to the next video and I'm just a random pop-up that's on the journey of your algorithm. Either way, let's crunch some numbers. 2 gigabits per second is roughly 250 megabytes per second of data. Australian NBN has confirmed a 2 gigabits per second tier that is poised to roll out at the end of this year. So if you have fiber to the home, then this speed is in the realm of possibility for you. So if we take a look at a typical family computer, no, not a gaming computer, it'll generally have, if bought in the last 10 years, a 7,200 RPM hard drive, which can write roughly 100 to 150 megabytes per second at best, and often much less on fragmented or small files. So for example, my 12 terabyte shucked hard drive barely hits 80 megabytes per second, and that's spinning Rust by today's standards, of course. Your PC's RAM might buffer dozens to hundreds of megabytes before it actually hits the disk, but sustained speed is limited to the platter heads. On the other hand, I would expect most computers and laptops to have an SSD and NVMe drive that blows past this. Modern NVMe SSDs easily do 500 to 1,500 megabytes per second, so they wouldn't bottleneck a 2 gigabits per second link by any stretch of the old imagination. Another scenario is that some people use mechanical drives for pure storage, and some would in fact directly download large files to these drives. So on paper, a mechanical hard drive could cap your throughput below 2 gigabits per second. If you did start downloading at 250 megabytes per second, after the RAM cache fills up, the effective speed would fall to the disk's 100 to 150 megabytes per second. In other words, your download would top out at the hard drive's write rate. Thankfully, you'll rarely notice a cap. TCP/IP has built-in flow control that simply slows down the sender if the receiver, your PC in this case, can't keep up. Your computer will buffer incoming data and RAM until it's written to disk, and when the buffer nears full, TCP will automatically tell the server to ease off, mate. In effect, the download speed self-throttles to match the slowest link. So rather than a sudden crash, you'll see the transfer rate gently settle at the hard drive's max write speed once its cache is full. This is why Windows copy dialogues often start fast and then level out. The OS cache gives it a head start. Now here comes the M. Night Shyamalan worthy twist. In most home networks, something else is far more likely killing your speed, and it's usually Wi-Fi, not your disk. Then walls, microwaves, and competing networks can weaken or destabilize your wireless signal, causing slower speeds or even dropouts. So next time your kids are not listening and gaming instead, start a microwave and watch them rage quit in Halo. Unless they're on Ethernet, then nothing will happen. In short, a weak Wi-Fi link is far more likely to throttle your downloads than a mechanical hard drive. So rather than blaming spinning Rust, check your router placement, the interference around it, outdated hardware, and so on. Even a simple fix like moving the modem and router away from walls and microwaves, or changing the channels, or using Ethernet would yield bigger speed boosts than any drive upgrade. In the real world, unless you've hit fiber speeds beyond 500 megabytes per second, the bottleneck is almost never your hard drive. However, another thing to consider is with these 2 gigabits per second speeds, your modem and your router, they also have to achieve those speeds on the Ethernet link. So if you've only got a network card that's 1 gigabit, well, you're not gonna get the full speed of your internet. And also the cable. The cable could potentially reduce your speed. If it's one of those old Cat 4 or 5 cables, you might see some issues. So it's best to have a newer one, Cat 6 or 5E at least. In theory, if you've got a ridiculously fast internet connection and an ancient hard drive, it could slow things down. But in real world, your download speed will just adjust to match to the slowest part in the chain. If you ever do jump on a 2 gigabits per second plan, make sure your Wi-Fi can keep up. If that's your plan, if you want to use the most of it, it's usually the gremlin in the machine, not the dinosaur spinning under your desk. Lastly, if you want a deep dive on the best Wi-Fi settings for your home for speed and stability, let me know in the comments below. I might just make that as the next Dirt Report. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for joining me on this rando-ass video. Bye!